Welcome back to the international edition of the Useful Content Creation Show. And today we have with us insurance expert and content creator, Daryl Perry.
Broadcasting live from Relate Studios in Trinidad and Tobago, it's the Useful Content Creation Show with your host, Juma Bannister.
Hello and welcome back to the Useful Content Creation Show. My name is Juma Bannister and I'm happy to be with you. I'm really happy to be with you because I've been having some internet challenges, but that's how it goes in streaming land. Sometimes you fight with the internet, sometimes you fight with content, you fight with different things. Once you're not fighting with yourself, that's the main thing. So today is episode 10 of season 2 of our show. And on this show, we do have some exclusive video content on why positioning is important. I have to admit, the video content is not that exclusive. I've already put this across on TikTok. My TikTok handle is in my name, so it's not that exclusive, but LinkedIn people, you can still get it here. And today we'll be having a conversation with Daryl Perry, which should be a really excellent conversation. And of course, we have a brand new segment that we've been running for this season called Agree, Disagree. And let me say to everyone who's in the comments, remember, we are the Useful Content community. We own the BULB emoji, and people often ask, what does that look like? Let me show you what that looks like. You have to throw your bulbs up in the comments. Make sure and light up the place, and also we're using the hashtag UCC Live. And if you're hearing the replay, of course, hashtag UCC Replay. Don't forget to drop it in the comments and support the show and have nice interactions down in the comments as we usually would. All right, so let's look at what happened in the last week. Now, I haven't run this segment for a little while. It's going to be real short today, but let's still run the segment on the weekly update. All right, so the weekly update is going to be real short this week. I wasn't well for the past couple of weeks, but I've recovered now. I'm much better. That's why we had to cancel not this Saturday's Useful Content Creation Show, but the one before that. And this Saturday we had Paula Joseph on the show, which was very good. And we talked about her content creation. We talked about her as a digital media manager, and that really worked out well. Yesterday we had a nationwide blackout. That is like the whole country was no power, which was, I was kind of glad. I was kind of thinking, is it going to continue into today? Am I going to be able to have this show? Because it was like 12 hours of no power, which is really uncommon. Something happened, but we're thankful to be back up and running, and the country is a little bit suspicious about what has happened, but that will work out. So we're glad we have power today so we can have this show. And we are working on the Relate Studios website. That's a new website we've been working on. It's going to be really good. We're taking our time with it, even though I want it finished before February, but we're taking our time with it still. And I'm really getting back into creating a story brand by Donald Miller. That book, it's going really well. Let me see who's in the comments now. I'm sure Robert Berry is there. Oh yeah, of course. Robert Berry is there. Hello, good evening, Robert. How are you doing? Always coming and saying hello to us. And we have Allison. Allison knows what's up. The UCC Live, and she's showing up her bulbs. Who was this this LinkedIn user? Nikisha, you're still saying LinkedIn user, UCC Live though, and she's throwing up her bulbs as well. We know the settings have to change, Nikisha. Of course, somebody saying, hey, Daryl, you know Ngozi? Daryl, that's somebody you know? Yes, Ngozi. Happy full recovery. Thanks, Nikisha. I appreciate it. We're going to be talking about this Hey Queen stuff. So let's we're going to be talking about some of that. All right, so let's run into the exclusive video content really, really, really quick. And this week on exclusive video content, we have some positioning video.
If someone inquires about your product or service and as soon as you tell them the price, they ghost you, don't immediately think that they ghosted you because your price was too high. The problem most likely is that they don't see you as different from another service provider or somebody who sells the same product. And so when you give them the price and it might be higher, they're going to say, well, you're no different from anybody else. I could buy this from anybody else. Let me just pay the lower price. The way you combat that is by positioning. What makes you different from everybody else selling the same commodity? And why is your product or service unique? And ultimately, why should they really buy from you, even though your price might be higher? So the thing you might want to focus in your content moving forward is what makes you different, what makes your process distinct, and explain why people should buy from you as opposed to the other person. Do you take more care in preparation of your products or service? Do you have superior customer service before and after you deliver your product or service? Do you know more than the other people, or are you an expert in the thing that you're selling? You should start creating those pieces of content that emphasize your difference. Because if you're the same as everybody else, price will matter. But if you're different, the price matters less. And if you want to be better positioned than your competition through content, follow me.
All right, that was the positioning video. We're burning things up across on TikTok, man. TikTok is going really, really well. Unfortunately, for most people, it's very localized. So most of my content goes out to Trinidad and Tobago, which I like, but also it kind of keeps my American crowd and my UK crowd away from the content, unless they really follow me. All right, so now the time has arrived. Let's go. Let me just take one little peep in the comments again. Dwayne, see it, enjoy. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Enjoying my content on TikTok. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, so tonight we have with us all the way from Atlanta, Georgia, the bow tie superhero, sometimes known as the notorious BTG, insurance nerd for entrepreneurs and small businesses. Put your bulbs up and help me welcome to the show, Daryl Perry. And he's in the house. I looked at your name a million times, and I wondered, how should I just say Daryl Perry II, or how do you deal with that?
Yeah. Unless my dad's around, Daryl Perry's fine. If he's around, then I'm the second.
Okay, great. Just want to make sure we have that right. So yeah, I think you should, well, a couple things, but first,
okay.
Let the people know who you are and what you're about.
Yeah, perfect. Well, thanks for having me again. I appreciate being on the show. My name's Daryl Perry, a.k.a. the Bowtie Guy, a.k.a. the Notorious BTG, which a follower gave me that name. That was not my own design. Somebody gave that to me. But what I do is I help individuals and small businesses realize the power of insurance by individuals using life insurance for tax-free retirement and small businesses building benefit packages that make sense to them. And in my spare time, I do content on LinkedIn. Sometimes there's rapping infused into it, as Robert Berry mentioned. But I just have to share content about insurance or just leadership. So I appreciate you having me here.
In your spare time, you do. So this is all spare. So this is all spare time stuff.
I guess I have a job in the daytime that people are like, what do you do besides making content? So I do run an insurance agency, but when I do have time, I'll make content for LinkedIn pretty much daily. But I've been on the platform for about 12 years now. So It's been a fun ride and amassed a large following. So I appreciate everybody that listens to what I say.
Okay, so big question, Daryl. What makes your content useful?
So what makes it useful, I'm big on edutainment. So I try to have fun with my content. So I remember when I started out, it was kind of like LinkedIn was more resume posting back in 2010. So it wasn't a lot of fun stuff out there. Then I saw Shay Rowbottom make some funny videos on LinkedIn. And I said, you know what? I don't think I have a studio and all that, but I can try making some fun content. So it was talking about insurance in a digestible, fun way was my initial start. And then it kind of branched out into leadership, Black empowerment, small business, HR, kind of the stuff I'm passionate about. So it's useful in the fact that it's bite-sized and I don't make anything too long, but I do have a show I run also on LinkedIn called Professionally Black and Business with Benefits, where I interview people about different topics. And that's more of the long-form content that's useful for people.
Right. And so you almost... so I know you didn't arrive at this place, because if you've been on LinkedIn for a little while, and even if you hadn't been active, you would have gone through a process of discovering what content works for you. What was that process like from the time you decided I'm going to start posting on LinkedIn to now?
So the first start was articles. When articles were a big thing, I would write articles. And I remember my biggest one was market like a wrestler. I had a picture of a bunch of wrestlers from the United States on a picture and said market like a wrestler, and it got thousands of views on it. And I'm like, oh, people actually look at this stuff. So then I did articles and I progressed to posting photos. A lot of my day-to-day work is seeing individuals with their insurance. So I would take pictures outside their office with their employees, with the plush duck, something kind of making it fun. And that will kind of be a running joke, where's Daryl today? So it would be posting different pictures. And then from there went to video. And then live was the last piece. Live video, I was terrified of at first. So I'm glad you had me on here. But at first I had live access for probably 3 months before I used it, because I was just scared, like, what's going to happen live? Who wants to hear me? And then Shanae Moray, Robert Berry knows her very well. She invited me on her platform when she had about 250,000 followers and said, hey, I want you to come talk about insurance on my live show. Okay. So I went on her show, and that was kind of what gave me the StreamYard bug, because I never used StreamYard prior to that, and now they sponsor the show. So it's been a journey of starting with articles all the way to live video and events nowadays.
Oh, that's great. That's a great process. I know about the Shanae Moray stuff. That's like a really good start, to get into live video. It's like,
yeah, because I met her by way of I used to try to meet somebody once a week from LinkedIn. So basically, I go through my followers and I would say, okay, here's somebody local I'm going to meet in person. And this is pre-COVID and everything. So every week I'll meet somebody and take a picture with them. Then Courtney Herring, she's here in Georgia. So I said, you know what? I like what Shanae's doing, but she's in Florida. I can meet her partner maybe. And I reached out to Courtney and said, hey, why don't we link up and have coffee or something? And she said, okay, great, which I thought she'd say no. But I met her, got a great conversation, met her son. And then she FaceTimed Shanae when I was there. Say, hey, look who I'm with, and had a FaceTime. And ever since then, we've been friends. So for people that think LinkedIn doesn't work, it does. It's the most real platform I use. And it all started from just reaching out to people saying, hey, let's have a coffee once a week off of LinkedIn.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And it's interesting because I met you. It was my sister who put me onto you sometime last year. It was like, I can't remember the context, but she was saying, hey, this guy who raps about his content. And she would always talk about you calling her queen all the time. And my thought was, this guy is either corny or he could be genuine. One of the two. It turns out you're the real deal. Do you ever get any pushback on how you present yourself, like the rapping and the bow tie, etc.?
So the rapping was hard to embrace at first. So funny backstory for me, rap was my original job I wanted to have. Starting at 12 years old, was always listening to rap music and Wu-Tang and stuff like that. And then in my 20s, I actually made a song on the platform called SoundClick. So SoundClick was before SoundCloud. It was like the independent artist website. So at the time, 50 Cent had dissed my state of Virginia. Virginia's kind of my hometown. So he had a song that dissed Virginia. So I said, you know what? I'm going to make a song dissing him back. And I'm nobody. I'm just on the internet, by myself. Put the song on the website. It was number 2 for like 10 weeks. It was like number 1 and number 2 for like 10 weeks on the website with thousands of users. So at one point I got a voicemail. This is when I had an old Nokia brick phone. So I had a voicemail saying, hey, this is so-and-so from Shady Aftermath asking for a cease and desist for your song on SoundClick. And I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, I thought it was a joke. So I called every friend of mine that had my number and said, hey, was this you? Like, nah, that wasn't me. Like, on everything was that you? Like, nah, I promise you that wasn't me. And like my best friend, I'm asking, like, is this you? And they're all like, no. So I called the number back, and then it had Eminem hold music. Like, Eminem was the actual hold music. I'm like, oh my God, this is actually Shady Aftermath. So I said, I'm leaving the song up there. If it got you that mad that you're having your law firm call me, I don't have any money, so go ahead and sue me. So I left it up there, but then I had kids and kind of got to be an adult and kind of stopped doing that. But I started saying, I love music, so why don't I use it for my content? So I forgot the first video I did, but it was just me like rapping in my office. Music was horrible, the audio wasn't good, but people were like, oh, somebody's rapping on LinkedIn. Okay, so I just kept doing it, and now it's better and more cleaned up. But it all started with just kind of embracing my past. I'm saying this is something I love. It's something I listen to every day. So I shouldn't be ashamed to show it. And if you don't like the content, you're probably not my audience. That's kind of how I look at it. If you don't like what I'm doing with rapping on LinkedIn, you probably wouldn't like me as a person. So I just kind of say, if you don't like it, then great. I don't have to worry about trying to make you like me.
Oh, that's a really interesting story. I was just, I was just listening like the other day about the, well, let me know. I'll go off the track with this hip hop stuff now. Let me stay on course. But that's a really interesting story. Wow. So you
I wish I would have kept the voicemail, but that's before the cloud existed. So I don't have the phone anymore. But all my life, that was something I was like, oh my God, 50 Cent's mad at me. So I thought I made it at that point.
So Gabe is saying, so you just 50 Cent that he was acting like a punk.
Yes, very much so. I can't say the name of the song because we know this is PG-13, but it's the song's called "Female Dog Made." If you go on SoundCloud now, look it up. It's still ranked up there pretty highly. But yeah, it's called "Female Dog Made."
All right. Okay. Interesting journey. Of course, you've grown up and you have 4 kids
Right.
and wife and stuff. So things have changed. We all have that process.
Right.
You know what? Let me just play this. I mean, if for people who don't know that you rap, this is one of your kind of like rap things here,
One, two, 3 into the 4. It's open enrollment, so the bow ties at your door. Ready to make an entrance, so back on up. Cause this insurance stuff is tough. Give me the microphone first before I pop like a bubble. Open enrollment with bow ties, you in trouble. Cause it's open enrollment, baby. Insurance information is crazy. Have you read a plan summary lately? Book a consult and you don't have to pay me. But back to the lecture at hand. Insurance information not many understand from an HR perspective. So before you're picking a plan that doesn't cover contraception, you never understood your medical plan, your income plan. So call me to be learning your plan. When you get it, read it more than a minute, cause there's even some words that I didn't see in it. And that's religion, real deal, holy feel. And all these entrepreneurs, I know how you feel. You gotta go make a decision in the next 2 months and hope it's not high as all that funky stuff. It's like this and like that and like this and does it cover this, does it cover that and it don't cover this, but it covers that and book a consult so you understand.
Nice. Very nice.
It's funny you caught me with the same bow tie today. It doesn't happen often, so I didn't know you was gonna play that.
I know. It's like, yeah, I just noticed that as well. Yeah, that's really cool, man. That's really cool. Same bow tie. Talking about same bow tie, I'm a bit of a bow tie aficionado. We used to wear bow ties when I used to shoot weddings. Let me just give you a little thing of that. So this is us.
Hey,
it's the team here. This is actually the guy in the suit, like the tan looking suit. It was his wedding, but this is all the team with their bow ties on. And like there's like the real deal. We used to tie the ties, and then we used to, at the end of the weddings, we would untie them and leave them open like James Bond type of thing.
I like it.
So just saying, I could relate to the bow tie.
There you go.
All right, so your content is really educational content. You educate people about insurance, all of the things surrounding it, and we know you have the hip hop. Did you consider yourself an educator before you started creating content?
Not really, because my wife's the educator of the family. I always thought I wasn't an educator, but I got into leadership, so I lead a team of about 10 insurance agents, and I had to mentor them in what I did to build up to my book of business. So I would end up teaching them, quote unquote, or coaching them what they needed to grow their business. So at that point, insurance is very complicated to a lot of people. So the original goal was to make it easy, because people would always tell me like, oh, you made this so simple. You made this so easy. So I decided like my content should do the same thing, because insurance is complicated, but it doesn't have to be hard. Because a lot of people say, oh, it's hard to understand it, which is written that way. But I try to make it normal. So I didn't think I was an educator, but the more and more I talk to my clients, they're like, yeah, you know what you're saying. You make this simple. So I kind of took on the mantle at that point.
And do you find that the content that you release has caused people to come to you more?
Oh yeah, definitely. Because I mean, insurance is a very boring topic, quote unquote. Most people don't want to talk about insurance. They wait to the last given second to talk about this. And Ghazi's been in the industry for about 25 years, so she can relate to this, that they just take a long time making decisions. So my logic was, at least if you see me, you can realize I'm a good person and I'm human and I'm here to educate you, because the common thing we deal with in the insurance industry is they think we're all just trying to sell you something. We're crooked. We're trying to lie and hide things. So I said, I'm going to do everything opposite because my family is not an insurance family. I was a military brat. So I didn't know a thing about insurance till I was 21 when I lost my parents' insurance. And then every job I had, nobody explained it to me. So I always say, you know what? If I'm going to jump into this industry, I want to teach people what it is so they understand it, because Black folks especially, we don't really understand it, so we don't get the advantages of insurance most times. So I want to make sure I help with that and educate people. And honestly, most people tell me when they look up insurance, I'm the first one that pops up. I've had people in different states tell me this, different countries say, hey, I just looked up insurance and saw you. And some of my best recruits that I've met for my insurance agency came from LinkedIn that said, hey, I looked up Aflac, I looked up your name, I looked up insurance, and you're the one that popped up. So it's definitely helped. And the funny thing is that they don't know what kind of insurance, because I don't specifically talk about it every day. But they say, I know you know insurance, so I want to talk to you to find out more, which is better in my field because I'm usually trying to tell people, like, trust me, I'm good. But the content brings them to me like, hey, I know you're good. So can this work for me? Is this what I need? So I do appreciate anybody that comes to me from social media, but it's been definitely a testament to helping my agency grow because it's people that I never would have met without social media.
Yeah, definitely. And I could see how, because it's well, apart from let me call it, not in a bad way, apart from the novelty of what you do, you clearly are connecting with people as well, which is what you're out there to do. And and so what impacted your decision to provide like just people-centered insurance and create people-centered insurance content?
Just the need of seeing people not understand it. And also I have a little bit of a competitive side to me. So when LinkedIn, probably in 2016, I started really posting like picture content and stuff like that. And a colleague of mine, he's seen my content and said, oh, you got one like on that one, and was kind of clowning me about it. And I said, oh, okay. And I knew people that were making waves on LinkedIn at the time, but they weren't in insurance. So I said, you know what? I'm going to figure out how to make this thing work because people need to see this. This is information that's helpful to people that I wish I would have known as I was coming up as a young person. So the people center part is just because of partly competition. I knew that other people were making it work, but it just wasn't working for insurance. And as far as the novelty piece, I just said, what's something fun I can do? Because some of the most viral content is usually fun stuff, but I don't do it often. I'll do it like once a month or once every couple of weeks. I'll do a fun rap video, but that sticks. People remember that. And the rest of the time it's here's an article about this, here's a white paper, here's a document slider. So I use every feature in LinkedIn, but the rap video stuff will just kind of shake it up to make it different, because you would expect an insurance guy to say, here's why insurance is important, here's why you need to know your deductible and stuff like that. But I say, you know what, why can't I rap that stuff? Because people don't want to hear it just spoken to them. So maybe I can wrap it like in a Schoolhouse Rock kind of mentality. And it's worked out for people. It's different. And if you look at most things children go through, we still like it as adults. We don't want to admit it, but children, everything's shown to them. So I say, you know, if kids like it, adults probably like it. They just want to say they do.
Right. And that's so true. That's so true. Let's look at the comments a little bit. So of course, Ngozi was saying opening room. Yeah, she was saying that. And Dana was for saying fire. Why is Alex doing? Oh, Alex is saying Tango LinkedIn has become like YouTube without the copyright strike. I mean,
thank you, Alex. Yes, LinkedIn does not care. They're like, play whatever you want to play.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this is streaming to YouTube, so I'm sure I'm going to get a strike across there.
Right.
Do you know Sean O'Neill? He's talking about washing your face in my sink. What is that about?
I don't know if I know him. He might be a follower, but I don't know him. But Sean, I will check you out now because you're referencing a Snoop Dogg lyric, I think.
Oh, okay. There we go. Hi, Majida. Good evening. Good to have you here. And of course, Majida is throwing up her bulbs, which is mandatory when you come into the room with us at the Useful Content Creation Show. All right. What's the most rewarding thing about helping small businesses demystify insurance?
Seeing the growth or seeing something positive happen. I mean, one of my earliest stories in insurance, so I started in July 2013. I had somebody, an owner of a daycare, her son worked for her, and she bought a life policy saying, hey, he's going to get married soon, so I want to get a life insurance policy so his wife doesn't have to worry about that. He's like 24, I think, at the time. So I bought the policy for him. I just said, hey, do you want life insurance? There was no sales pizzazz. There was no script or slick thing I said. I just said, hey, do you want to get any life insurance? And she bought a policy for her son, and then 9 months later, he was shot. Wrong place, wrong time. Was our first 48. It was my first claim that I had, and I wasn't even a year in the business. It was 9 months later. So that kind of shook me and kind of changed the way I do things, because that one question I asked her, hey, do you want life insurance, changed the course of how that burial would happen. Because honestly, a lot of Black people have to bury folks and they don't have money for it. So it becomes a stress on the family. Like we got to fight about who's going to pay for this and who's going to do that. But she already had it set up, and just wrong place, wrong time. Good kid. He worked at a daycare. He wasn't like in a dangerous industry, but he's at a party with his friends and something happened. So that changed me, that I don't look at insurance as like a bad thing, because that was that one question changed her life. So I always think about that when I talk to people. How can I present this information that you can understand it, because you might need it one day? And insurance is a protection kind of thing. I never think about just spending all your money on insurance. But just to think about, hey, if something were to happen, how you deal with it. And it's a morbid topic, but when you can present it in a way to say this will help you have peace whenever that time comes, that's where that changed the way I do things. So that was the first year. Some people go through insurance and they never ever do a death claim. They'll go their entire career and never have to deliver a death check. But I had to do it 9 months later. So that really changed how I think about things.
Yeah. And I heard that you don't charge for health insurance consultation.
Really, health insurance to me is kind of like in the U.S., it might be different in your country. In the U.S., it's pretty messed up. Costs a lot of money. People go bankrupt, so they have health insurance. So I don't want people to think health insurance covers everything. They still go bankrupt because they're not working. But for me, I don't want to work like a Blue Cross, Humana, any of these big carriers. I don't build my agency off of health insurance. I'll advise on it, like say, hey, go to the marketplace, or hey, do this. There's like one plan I'll offer that's really cost effective for small businesses. I'll offer that. But a lot of it's just consultations. Like, hey, people will hit me up on LinkedIn and say, it's open enrollment. Can you look at my benefits guide? Sure, I'll take a look, and I'll tell them if it's good or bad. Most times they'll say, this is good. You might not want to get that plan, because they don't know what it is. So that's the main thing, is just if they take up questions about what they have, I want people to know, because a lot of folks buy something and don't know what they have, and then something happens and they find out the hard way. So if I can just tell somebody what they have in a positive way, at least they can know in the future, and they might need me down the line. But at the end of the day, I'm trying to change the impression of insurance in the industry.
Right. So you work with people across all different kinds of businesses and industries. And so, well, how do you keep your content relevant to each person while still delivering the exact message you want to deliver? How do you do that?
Thankfully, I have a good team of people around me. Like on LinkedIn, I have a crew of people I kind of follow all the time to keep it fresh. I jokingly say Nick Nelson. You might have seen him on LinkedIn. He made me get bougie with my content and make it fancier.
Oh, Brampton.
Yes, Brian Pernor. He's here in Atlanta. I met him. We're good friends now. But I used to look up to his stuff because I want to make it look like that. Him and Cher Jones. Cher Jones was I want my live show to be like Cher, because she's like the pinnacle of live shows for a long time. So I said I want to be like her. So those two keep me kind of like, okay, am I making it fresh enough? Am I repackaging it? Am I doing it well enough? So that's the main way. And my clients are listening to what they say. I always tell people that are trying to get into content marketing, if they're in a boring space, like think about the things your clients tell you all the time. Think about the questions they ask you all the time, and that's content. I'll literally say, they said blah, blah, blah. Oh, that's content. I'll just tell people that's a piece of content. And they're like, really? Like, yes, if it's something you say all the time, it's unknown but need to know information. That's kind of what I think about it. If it's unknown stuff that you hear about all the time but people don't know, that's kind of how I look at my content, to repurpose stuff and say, okay, my client's been saying this over and over again. This should be a piece of content. So now I just listen to my audience.
Right. I mean, that's the way to go, because when you listen to your audience, then you actually are talking to the people who care about the thing that you're doing, and then you're going to assume that the people who come to hear you, there are more people like that out there, and so you want to speak to them directly, and so it just makes complete sense that you would pay attention to them. So you've had like 4 live shows at this point.
So there's Business of Benefits, that's weekly. Professionally Black is a monthly panel kind of situation. And Linked Lunch, I haven't done that yet this year, but that's a networking group where I'll do Zoom on LinkedIn and make it like an open networking forum. So those are the 3. I'm thinking right now, and I'll throw this to you as a exclusive for your show. I'm thinking about LinkedIn Versus, like a versus situation with like not something polarizing like CRT, like a critical race theory, but like CRM, no CRM. Cold marketing versus warm marketing, like stuff like that people debate on LinkedIn. So I was thinking about doing that as a new show for this year, like a versus situation for LinkedIn.
Right. But even before that, you had shows that you don't no longer do.
Yeah, I would just be random stuff. Like the show I'm at now, Business of Benefits, took like 5 iterations. First it was Behind the Bow Tie, then it was Live and Local, Insurance WTF, which was not the bad word, but it's words to follow. So I was just playing with stuff, and then finally, Business of Benefits was the one that worked. That was the one that stuck, and I'm like, you know what? I could build branding around it. I could have a theme, so that was the one that stuck. But that show was like 5 versions later.
Right.
So yeah, I'll decommission the show easily if I'm like, this isn't working. Which I think people should do that. Try something till you figure out your groove.
Yeah, I think people generally tend to get attached to shows, and they're afraid of decommissioning it when it doesn't. Even if it is going down in flames, they're like, I have to do the show.
No, I quickly was like, this isn't working.
But how do you know when things are not working?
I guess I thought about the continuation of it. It seemed like I'd run out of stuff that would be fresh. So, like the behind the bow tie was like, that's just me. I'm like, well, nobody wants to hear about me every single day or every single week. And really, what kind of created the main thing for my content was COVID. In March of 2019, or was it 2019, whatever COVID first hit, there was an event. 2020. See, it's all a blur right now. It's been like years of it. But we had an event here in Atlanta called LinkedIn Meetup ATL. So we're supposed to have an event at the end of March to meet up in person with all these LinkedIn personalities. And I actually met, Nick Nelson, Shanae Murray, Ryan Richards, a lot of people the previous year at that kind of event. So previously we had an in-person event. We was going to do it again in March. So COVID was floating around. So, I was like, you know what? To hype this event, I'm going to go live every single day of the week. So I had somebody booked every single day to go live in March. Then second week in March, shut it down. We can't do it. COVID's happening. So I said, you know what? I already booked all these people. I'm going to keep doing it. And I had a feeling like this will be the beginning of the content wars in 2019 with COVID. I figured if we're going to shut down, I can't go visit people like I normally would. So I need to make content to be visible. So people ask me at the end of March, like, are you going to keep going? Like, I guess so now. I mean, you guys have been watching this every day. So it became a weekly show or twice a week at that point. But that's what started with was COVID, really, was realizing that I got to position myself digitally when I can't physically be in front of people.
Yeah. So you found that having those live shows has been a good way to build your community.
Yeah, absolutely. Live is the only, not the only, but it's the most instant gratification piece of content because you'll see people engaging it, listening to it, asking questions. And I would notice as I went to in-person events, people would say, oh, yeah, I've seen your show. And they wouldn't like it or anything. Like they would just be lurking. So I would randomly meet people like, oh, I know you. Like, who are you? And they're like, oh, I've seen your show. You never commented or anything. Who are you? But I know they were watching it. So that's the pet peeve, I guess, to us as content creators when that happens. Like, why don't you say something? But those of you in the audience commenting, I appreciate it. But that happened to me for a long time. I would just see people out in the streets and they're like, oh, yeah, I know you. Okay. So that's the thing I've noticed. It does help that they know, like, and trust you quicker. Because you can't fake live internet. If it's live, this is what it is.
Right. And how has that helped you grow your brand?
Oh, a ton. I mean, honestly, the bow tie thing, when the guy with the bow tie was because I listened to my audience again. I would visit people in person. They forget my name. But somebody would call them and say, hey, who's your insurance guy? Oh, it's the guy with the bow tie. Or I meet them at Starbucks or something and they didn't see me in person. And I'd say, hey, you'll know me because I'll be the guy with the bow tie sitting at the front. And I just kind of carry that on the LinkedIn. So basically, as people know me for that. And that I love it because at least at the end of the day, they'll remember something about me. Personal branding, I think, is just being memorable. That's a big thing about it because there's so many people that do what everybody else does. So if you're memorable, that'll kind of help you. And I think LinkedIn Live definitely helps that because they see you right then as a real person and not just polished content.
Right. So I know you kind of stumbled across the bow tie thing, as you were saying, but I guess, well, of course, it has been a good thing for your branding and by extension, your marketing. But what are some of the drawbacks of being known as the bow tie guy?
That I always have to be seen with a bow tie. That's now I'll jokingly say when I Zoom with people, I probably won't have it on. So if I have like a one-on-one consultation, a lot of times they're like, where's the bow tie? I'm like, well, I got to take a break sometimes because I usually like Monday through Friday I would wear it when I was going in person. When COVID happened, I said, you know what, I'm gonna take a break for it. If I'm having like a big meeting or live, I'll wear the bow tie. But that's the thing, they'll always ask you like, where's the bow tie? So it's not like a bad thing. But I know my wife gets tired of it sometimes. So I said, I'll take a break from my wife because she's like tired of seeing it now.
Right. So I always wear red on camera, as you could see. But when I'm with my family and we go out, I just don't wear red. I just don't. I just don't. I mean, I might if that's all that's clean, I'm gonna put it on. But in general, I don't want to go in public. So people are sometimes shocked when they see me and say, oh, here's a green shirt.
Right.
So I understand that whole thing of having to keep up with the branding and stuff, but you can take a break. I mean, does having
a little bit.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true. Does having this this kind of bow tie persona of wearing a bow tie impacted your ability to create particular types of content?
It lets me have fun with it. Like there was National Bow Tie Day. I forgot what day of the year it is, but there's like National Bow Tie Day. So people will tag me like, "Oh, it's the bow tie day. Where's your video?" or something. So that's the stuff that's been a positive impact that people kind of look out for it. Or if they say a friend of theirs wears a bow tie, they'll say, "Hey, look at this guy. He wears bow ties too." So it helps people come to me that are also bow tie heads. And I call them like the bow tie nation affectionately. So they'll kind of come to me like, "Oh yeah, I like it too." Or when I message people, if I send a connection request to somebody with their bow tie in their picture, I'll say, "Oh, well, you're a bow tie brother too. I'd love to connect and learn more about your work." So it's definitely a positive.
Right. Yeah, it's yeah. We used to get that love all the time when we used to go out with bow ties. People found it was so kind of snazzy, and
yeah,
it was like a thing. And more so because we were tying them and not clipping them or something, you know.
And a little no secret for me, my bow ties are neckties. So I actually take a necktie and tie it as a bow tie.
I could see it. Well, because we tie bow ties so much, we know how it looks. So I can look at the bow tie and like say, "Oh yeah, this is how." Because there's a tutorial on YouTube when we were looking at it. There's one to turn your bow tie into a necktie. A necktie into a bow tie, yeah. But you would accept a bow tie as a gift, right? Like one that.
Oh yeah, I wear regular bow ties too. It's just I tie these much quicker. But I do have like a follower got me actually a feather bow tie. He asked me like, "What's the kind of bow tie you never had that you wish you had?" I'm like, "Well, I've seen these feather bow ties that are made of the bird feathers and stuff. That looks pretty cool." And he actually got me one. So that's the fun stuff that people kind of think about sending me bow ties to see. I want to see you wear that one. So it's definitely fun, and they're good people. I shout them out and I appreciate it. So that's the positive side too, that people get into it and they get behind it.
That's excellent. Who do you consider to be your content mentor?
I mean, I mentioned a couple already, like, Cher Jones, Nick Nelson, Shanae Murray. I'm trying to think. Shay Robottom. She was the one that started me with funny content. I didn't start making funny content until I saw her. I like Robert's stuff. If Robert's still in the audience, Robert Berry has some good stuff too. I love that he's doing a live show and different interviews. It's kind of a lot of people, but I guess the most impacting probably was Shanae and Shay. They're probably the most, I didn't go live until I met Shanae Murray, and I didn't make funny videos till Shay, and that's kind of my main two. But for Black creators, definitely Cher Jones, and I also like Veronica Owosu. She's great with her dancing videos. She and I are good friends. She always has fun on LinkedIn and just dances.
I saw on your YouTube channel. Yeah, you did.
Yeah, she's super fun, and it's novelty too, but she always has a great message with it. So I'm not a big fan of the reposting viral content. I understand it gets eyeballs on you and stuff like that, but I feel like there's two worlds. There's like the creator world, and then there's the reposting world. So I kind of put my flag in the creating world, so I won't go viral like that probably, and I'm okay with it. I'm the long game. I won't get 20,000 views in a video, but I'll amass a lot of views over the course of time, and that's built more of a consistent follower base. So when I do my show, same people show up, more people come, they support everything I do, and that's what I like about it. So a lot of people I follow, but those are kind of my main ones that really made an impact on me.
Right. So who do you mentor?
I wanted Rosalind Krieger. She's someone in Canada. Actually, I mentor. She's the Unstucker, she calls herself. So I've mentored her on LinkedIn, helping her make content. A few other people. I've had some courses I've done here and there for insurance people. Like Simone Woods, she might be in here. She's an island girl too. She's also an island girl like you. So not like you, but an island girl. But I taught her some stuff for LinkedIn. Yeah, you're an island guy, not an island girl. But I mentor some insurance people and helping them use content. I'll be launching a course again, probably in a few weeks, for teaching bite-sized content for LinkedIn for insurance people. But another one by Marcello Arcelef. I'm sure you see Marcello on LinkedIn. He and I do the Link Lunch together. Gabe's been a part of that. Gabe's in the audience, so he's been a part of that. So he and I kind of mentored each other a little bit on live content. And I don't know, people reach out to me. There's others that I probably could name, but just I've noticed over the years of doing Professionally Black, that series alone, a lot of the people that came from those panels have blown up, like Elizabeth Liba. Elizabeth Liba, she's got a lot of followers now, a lot of eyeballs on her. And I took a shot on her with Professionally Black years ago on a panel. And she's like, I was scared, never done live internet. Now she does it like nothing. So I can't say I made that happen for her, but I can say I was a piece of the puzzle. And that's the stuff I like seeing, is that even if they're bigger than me, that I was somewhere a part of that journey. And I just appreciate anything I get to do with that.
That's fantastic. I mean, and I think it gives you a sense of fulfillment when you are planting seeds and seeing those things kind of coming to pass. Growing up and bearing fruit. It does.
Yeah, I mean, especially that because LinkedIn has not always been the most colorful. I mean, you've been on LinkedIn for a while. It wasn't always showing melanated people a whole lot. We weren't getting the same love as, say, somebody else with a different ethnicity. So I say, you know what? I want to do something for Black people to help them shine on LinkedIn. So I'm not as big as Black LinkedIn hashtag, but Professionally Black is probably number 2. And that hashtag was just to say we can talk about professional things as Black people, not venting about being mad about things, but just talk about this is what we go through. This is our vantage point. This is our experience. And a lot of the folks I've had through that have made great waves on LinkedIn. Martin Pratt's one of them. He's done a lot of good stuff on LinkedIn. John Graham, he's done plantation theory. He's been in a lot of panels. So I like helping those people spread out and be seen more. And also just making us be seen on this platform a lot.
Yeah, definitely. That's good stuff. I mean, especially based on where you come from, that is very important. You know, I often, like, for example, the way in which we treat with things in the Caribbean is slightly different to America. So I could understand the kind of emphasis that you have to have if you live in the borders of the United States, or I mean, just in North America in general. And I can understand the emphasis for that. That's really, 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 really cool. All right, so we come to the part of the show where we are going to have some fun. And we're going to do agree, disagree. Now, I have to admit, let me just confess. Today, we're working on some projects. I had very little time. I would normally go overboard in preparation. Today, I didn't have a lot of things prepared. It's just been a rough day. And after that power outage yesterday, it was like we're trying to catch up. So let's see how the agree, disagree goes. And let's run that segment right now. All right, agree, disagree. So this segment is a set of statements that you can agree or disagree with. It's not a result of what I agree or I disagree with. It's just statements. Some of them are specific to you, some of them are general statements. And if you're in the comments, you can play along if you want, even though some might not apply to you. So let's go through the whole list of agree, disagree. So agree, and this is one that I ask everyone. Agree, disagree. Passion before skill.
I'll agree. I'll agree on that.
Right. Passion before skill. I mean, I think most people actually, there's a split in this. Actually, people are split on this pretty evenly.
I'm gonna split because, like, when I think about me rapping, that was passion before skill, but with insurance, it was skill before passion. So that's kind of it. Yeah, I'm kind of 50-50 on it, but I'll say passion overall.
Right. And you were you didn't even. This wasn't supposed to be your career. You were computer engineering at first and mathematics.
Oh yeah, I was. Yeah, I would agree in math and accounting. So I was not supposed to be an insurance person. When I first started college, it was computer engineering and math. And then I was like, well, I don't want to really make robots. So then I switched it to accounting. But yeah, I use math every day, of course, but the crux of it, I don't use accounting like that anymore. So this is not what I was supposed to be doing, but I definitely have a passion for it now.
You're right. And you didn't, but that was skill, and you kind of like didn't necessarily have a passion for it. So you could take it different ways, I guess,
Yeah, for work, I could do skill before passion, but like for music, that's passion, then you get better at it. So it kind of depends on what you're doing, I guess.
Yes. So says Notorious BTG. Let's go. Okay, this one. Agree, disagree. You have to be a good follower in order to be a good leader.
I think so. I mean, we're all leaders. I like to always say that everybody's a leader, but yeah, I think you got to be able to follow directions, and the first person you lead is yourself. So if you can't listen to your own, this is my goal, this is my objective, then yeah, you can't be a good leader because you don't understand the dynamics of leading at that point.
All right, that is yeah. I think you need both. So I shouldn't. This is not about me though. Let me don't get my opinion.
It's okay. Get into it.
All right. So this one is kind of weird, but run with me. So cold calling is a great way of meeting interesting people.
Yes, I agree. I am the weirdo that cold calling is fun to me because I look at it like stand-up comedy. I don't know what you're gonna say, and you don't know what I'm gonna say. So it's always interesting. And a funny thing about me with cold calling, I'll actually make it fun. I'll call people and say, hey, can you hear me okay? And the first like, yeah, I can hear you. Okay, great. I hope you don't hate me for this too much, but this is a sales call. Do you want to hang up on me or give me a few seconds to say why I'm calling? And 95% of the time they'll laugh. Like, that was good. Okay, what you got? It depends on how long you need. I'm like, oh, just a few seconds. Okay, you're right. I've had probably 10 people in the history of doing that line ever hang up on me. And they're usually courteous hang-ups, like, I'm going to hang up right now. Okay, I'll call you back tomorrow. It's never like an abrasive, like, I can't stand you. It's usually just like I'm busy now, I'll call you back. All right. So I do think it's a great way of meeting people, because the people I know now, a lot of them I cold call because I didn't have a book of business when I moved to Georgia. So I would have met nobody if I didn't cold call.
Right. Well, cold calling is not a thing for you these days. Most of your stuff is inbound now.
Yeah, now it'll be referral based. So like today, actually, somebody messaged me yesterday on LinkedIn, like, hey, I need you to meet somebody. So that happens quite a bit now. But also cold call for something I really want to get into. For me, cold calling now is like, I really want to work with this person or this business. So I'll selectively pick certain people. But prior to that, it was like calling hundreds of people. So yeah, it's definitely changed, but that's where social media helps you get more inbound. For everybody that says, I'm great at sales, if you get me in front of somebody, you should be on social media. Because I really think when you say those things, you don't understand marketing is a big piece of how you get those people in front of you. So if you want that, you have to really make content to help people see you, and then they'll be in front of you to sell them like you said you could.
Right, definitely, without a doubt. All right, agree, disagree. Having a dog is an essential part of a fruitful and peaceful way of life.
That's a fun one. Yes, but my dog sheds all the time, so it's not always peaceful. We bought a short-haired dog, thinking like short-haired dogs probably don't shed a lot. That's wrong. He sheds all the time, so he's a good dog, but I got to end up vacuuming and cleaning stuff like every other day. So that's the lack of peace.
What color is he?
He's like tan and white, so there's like little white hairs like all over the place. So it just looks like y'all never cleaned up. Like I had to get a robot vacuum just because of how much he sheds. I'm like, let the robot do it sometimes, and I'll pick up the rest because it's every day.
Right. Yeah, I know what those white-haired dogs. I used to have a bull terrier back in the day. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So agree or disagree? Being relatable is more important than being knowledgeable.
I think it depends on what part of the sales process you're in. If you're in the top of your funnel with meeting people, relatable is definitely more important because they got to be able to say, hey, I can talk to that person. But if you're in the consideration phase or somewhere in the buying decision, they want to see knowledge. So I look at my funnel as like the content is the know and like portion, but then trusting is like in the messages. So I think like all my content is just know and like me. When I message you, like, okay, this is a trust barrier. If I do the wrong thing in messaging you, you never talk to me again. So that's where I want to show knowledge and trust at that point. So depending on where you are, beginning of the funnel, relationships more important. Because there's a lot of knowledgeable insurance people. Think about that. There's a ton of knowledgeable insurance people, but nobody wants to talk to them because they're not relatable. So I kind of flip it and focus on that side more in the beginning.
So we're gonna put an asterisk on that one.
Right.
based on funnel position, we're gonna put an asterisk on that one. All right. Agree, disagree. On social media, you grow more from doing rather than consuming.
Ooh, that's a tough one. I will say you do have to consistently post content. I think if you really want to have social media work, you have to have some cadence, whether it's once a week, once a day. You'd have some cadence to grow. So doing it does help. But I got a song I got to release about this, about you have to consume to do a little bit. I'll be doing another Snoop Dogg rendition of a LinkedIn thing in a couple days. But part of that is like scrolling through the feed. If I see what other people are doing, I can figure out like, I should caption my videos, or I should put a picture. Like I didn't realize the thumbnail thing when I first heard of LinkedIn. The whole make a good thumbnail for you. I didn't know that until I started watching other people. Like, oh, that's why when I smile, it's like weird looking or it doesn't hit as well. So I got to make a thumbnail. So it's probably another asterisk for me. You do got to consume a little bit, but the first thing is posting. If you just post anything, it's better than doing nothing, in my opinion.
Right. All right, so that's another asterisk. You have 200% more asterisks than anybody else has had.
I'm complicated to a degree.
Yeah, I'm gonna let it slide. Okay, and finally, integrating your personal philosophy into content is critical. It's critical for making genuine connections.
Yes, there's no asterisk on that one. I think that's true. Because I think people try to be somebody for everybody instead of being just for their people. So when I first started making like the Black empowerment content or professionally Black, people were like, aren't you afraid you're gonna get backlash? Like people won't want to work with you because you're being so Black on LinkedIn. Like if they do, I don't want to be around them because that means they secretly don't like my Blackness. So that's fine. At least I find it up front. that it's a problem versus on the back end. So yeah, definitely be yourself, because that'll help make a more deep connection with people.
Yeah, most definitely. And you know, it's hard to keep up charades.
Yes.
You're gonna. Yeah, it's just not gonna be good.
Yeah, and I like to be the same person on and off camera. So like that's the thing. Whenever I get on a Zoom with somebody from LinkedIn, they'll say, "I feel like I know you." Yeah. That's like the first thing I always hear from people when if I said, "Hey, let's just hop on a Zoom," and I'll randomly tell anybody like, "Hey, let's just hop on a Zoom," because I never know who you know, and I want to hear your story because you're following me. So I appreciate that token of following. Like if you're just saying, I want to follow you, I don't want it to just be an avatar. I want to actually know you on some level, because what generally happens on LinkedIn is somebody will say, "Hey, do you know so-and-so? I want to meet them." And sometimes you're like, well, no, I don't know that person. So I'd reach out to them, but I want to meet more of my followers. So at least when somebody says, "Hey, I want an introduction to so-and-so," I can actually say, okay, I do know them. And the main thing they say is, I feel like I know you, because they've seen content so much. So that's vital for you to really make this thing work, is show the human, because I don't think it's really B2B. It's person to person. My space is technically B2B, but a human makes the decision every single time. So people want to know people. So it's okay to be relatable and be yourself, because they're going to find out who you are anyway.
Yeah, definitely, without a doubt. And people say the same thing to me, that, you know, you're like the same as you are online and on your show and whatever else. And I think that is a real testament to the integrity of the person when somebody could say that to you when they meet you in person, you know. So I think that's the way to go. All right, so we're coming down for a landing now, right into the landing strip. You wanted to talk about, I think, insurance audits.
Yeah, so basically something like I mentioned earlier is if people have questions about their coverage for their business or for their employees, I'd love to be able to check it out for you for free. If you ask some of my followers, I've done that for them just to look at it. They'll say, "Hey, let's take a look and see what I have." 9 out of 10 times I say it's good, or you might need to improve something. So if anybody needs help with understanding it, because the biggest thing I worry about is when somebody goes to a doctor or goes to bury somebody, they didn't have the coverage they thought. The story that kind of triggered this for me was when Obamacare first came out in the United States. It was the deadline for Obamacare, the last day to sign up. And a woman called me Affordable Care. I get. A woman calls me like at 5 o'clock, like I'm wrapping my day up. And she's like, "Hey, I need to get some health insurance." I said, "Okay, well, tell me what's going on." She said, "Well, I'm stage 4 cancer. And the hospital told me if I don't get a policy, they're not going to do the surgery I need to live." So from that point, I'm like, ugh, this is bad. Okay, well, tell me what else you got going on. So I'm married, but my husband's been laid off. He's a mechanic. He isn't working 6 months. We're tight on money. So it was like the worst possible scenario. So I'm like, "Lady, let me just help you. I don't want to get paid a penny for this, because you're telling me if you don't get this plan, you're going to die." So from that point, I said, you know what? I just want to advise people on health insurance because it's too messy. So if you just have questions about your coverage, whether it's for you, your spouse, your family, or your business, just DM me and I'll give you help with that. Also, you can visit my website, thewayoflifegroup.com. There's a way to contact me there. Thank you for that, sir. Yeah, thewayoflifegroup.com. You can go there. I don't have the fanciest website. I really focus on LinkedIn more than my webpage, but you can go there on LinkedIn to find out more information and just contact me for a question, because at the end of the day, it's free to get advice, and insurance people are supposed to be stewards of information to help you understand why we have a license.
Yeah, most definitely. I heard that story was because my mom was a cancer survivor as well, so it's like, oh, it hits different.
It was bad, and I lost an aunt to cancer in 2010, so I've seen it happen. She chose chemo or the kids. That was her situation. She had 3 daughters, and she's like, I can pay for chemo or pay for my kids to have food. And she passed away in about 6 months or so. So that's where that really hit me. Like, I don't want to be the reason you didn't get, whatever surgery you need. So yeah, Please just ask for help. It doesn't hurt to ask for help.
Yeah, definitely, without a doubt. So if you want to connect with Darryl, this of course is his LinkedIn location right down there, right across there, and of course you're on YouTube as well. If they do search for Daryl Perry Daryl Perry, second business with benefits, that's the YouTube. Do you have a customized URL? Do you have a custom URL or no?
I don't know the top of my head right now. I have it, but I don't know what it is top of my head. My YouTube is more of an archive for my live show. So I appreciate anybody that watches on there. I appreciate all the YouTube watchers out there. But LinkedIn, there's 28,000 people there, so that's more of my flag is there.
Right. Yeah, definitely. So Yolanda, I don't want to mislead Yolanda. She's saying developing relationships is key.
Hey, Yolanda, thank you.
Yeah, from earlier. Oh, you know Yolanda. Hi, Yolanda.
Yeah, she's a great follower. I appreciate her. She's been rocking with me for years, so I appreciate you, Yolanda.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. All right, that was good. That was really excellent. So thank you so much, Darryl, for being on with us this evening. For everybody who has been wondering, of course, you could of course don't forget hashtag UCC Live. Don't forget to throw your bulbs up, and if you have any questions, you have like a few seconds to ask it before we log all the way out. But it's really been great to be with the community this evening on the Useful Content Creation Show. And do you have any parting words of wisdom to share with the people before we go, Darryl?
Well, I guess two things. One, I'll be live with Wendy Conrad tomorrow at 2:30 Eastern Time, talking about benefits in the or insurance in your culture for your business. So if you have employees and your culture is kind of struggling, we'll be talking about how benefits is helpful for that. And then also just check out a Black creator. If you're on LinkedIn or YouTube, just check out a Black creator. There's a lot of good people out there. We don't always get the shine that everybody else gets, but there's some great stuff out there. So just be intentional and go find the new Black creator you even talked to before or haven't watched them, and just look at their content. It's really good stuff. The interview I had earlier with Terrell White, he mentioned that we invented cool in the United States, at least. Really, I'll say worldwide, but definitely in the U.S., we brought cool to the United States. So if you want to see some cool content, find a Black creator. You'll never be disappointed.
And if you want to see some really cool content, go check out Darryl and his content across on his page. Thank you so much for coming, Darryl. I appreciate 100%. And thank you, Useful Content community, for joining us this evening for the Useful Content Creation Show. And we'll see you soon. Bye, everyone.
Thanks for having me, King. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, man. Good to have you.